Swinburne University of Technology.
Hi everyone, I'm Professor Gilly Salmon, and in this short video I'm going to talk to you about storyboarding, which is stage 2 of the Carpe Diem process. So beforehand you do your blueprinting, and then you move on to the very important part, which is storyboarding, where you work collaboratively to lay out the process of your online learning course. And it's really using the metaphor from the idea of storyboarding for movies, although it have been used more recently for online learning too. And this came about from the Disney studios. And if you have a look on YouTube, there's some wonderful videos showing how they did it and people talking about it, which will give you a strong idea. The idea is really, in a way, to create a kind of a natural sequence that feels right, and that's what we want you to do with your learning process. But it's also a way of handling considerable complexity. Of course, with movies, they were actually drawing pictures, but you don't have to do that if you haven't got someone keen on drawing. But it's kind of the idea of a sketch as a metaphor and how things fit together. But most importantly, it's a sequence, and the idea that you board it up before the actual build begins. Tell the story in a simple form before you move towards the more complex form. And if you tell it in a simple form, it's very easily changed, and it doesn't matter. So you're kind of putting the minimum amount of information and contents in the sequence. And it is okay to do it fairly quickly. And you'll find if you do this, it's quite expressive and fun to do. And you do find yourself telling a story and moving back from beginning, middle to end. And when you look at how Disney invented storyboards for movies, they also kind of took on the characters. So I think for us, that's the idea of taking on the role of the student, looking at the storyboard from the student perspective, walking through this so that you have an idea of what it would be like to encounter this story for the very first time. Develop your storyboard as a team. Every member will make a very different kind of contribution, and you get something that's much higher quality than you could ever possibly do on your own. So have lots of different people involved, but if you have it all on a storyboard, it lets everyone see it as an overview, and everyone stays on the same page, as they say, on the same board. And I think the idea, if you can get some consensus and agreement and make it work for the storyboard, you will then have confidence that you will be able to build it in the online environment. So put some considerable investment into your storyboarding at this time, and it will save you a huge amount of time and work later. And as you'll see when you try it, or there's a little video that goes with this where you can see one of my teams having a go, it is a very, very powerful planning tool. But it's also quite visual. For those of us who are academics, we like the diagramming and we have fun laying it out. Do avoid everyone sitting down and having one scribe. It's not a brainstorm. Get everyone on their hind legs with post-it stickers in hands, and this avoids the traditional notion of one client while everyone else tries to get closer and closer to what's actually in their head. So it results in a very collaborative and highly involved process and a very cooperative atmosphere, good for team building. And if there are difficult bits, and there usually are difficult bits, when you're talking about learning, it's often around assessment and how you're going to do assessment. This needs lots of drawing on, so everyone works in this, but looking at the whole system rather than little bits of it. And don't forget, the picture is always worth 1,000 words, and your storyboard will be a tool to communicate it to others. It also enables you to really see where the student activity, what we call E-activities, needs to fit in. Try and make it as quick and easy process you can. And when you're confident in it, of course you can change it. The key advantage of using storyboards is that it does allow the design team to experiment with changes in the sequence before production begins. And it helps them to avoid these very linear designs that happens if you write an online course. It then makes it possible to build the story, the sequence, in a way with the design pretty much agreed between everyone. So that's the metaphor of storyboarding, which is stage 2 of the Carpe Diem process. I'm sure if you have a go at this, you'll see that it's such an easy, quick and productive way to work on your unit and to work on it collaboratively. So very good luck. I wish you all the best with your storyboarding. Bye for now.
This has been a Swinburne production.